allow the children to have the budget every year.
It's okay. Off your mind. It's okay.
She
Off your mind.
like me.
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don off mic. And if we talk, na 500,000 they go sama us, call am hate speech. But fear not, Mayegun don come. Him go torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people wey dey spoil our country. So my people make we loud, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. My people make we shout, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Mayegun diary politico, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. This one na dey off in mind, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. And in dey touchlight every corner, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Okay, some people be dey holla say dem want the power. Chai, dem be promise us say we go get light and power. Dem hustle sote they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Every day, dollar just they get the higher power over naira. Still them talk say make we off mind. But thank God say Mayegun don come. So my people make you loud, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. My people make we shout, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Mayegun diary politico, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. This one not dey off in mind, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Person wey dey do evil no wan make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too dey talk. He too dey talk. Say Mayegun diary, he dey hot like pepper. But every day, then they take money in bulk. Poor man pikin, dey the street, dey hawk. Still them talk say, make we no talk. But thank God say, Mayegun don come. So my people make you loud, oh yo yo. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Mayegun diary, Nayibi number one.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Mayegun diary, Nayibi number one.
Mayegun ti dé o, ọ̀rẹ́ ará ìlú.
Mayegun diary, Nayibi number one.
Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube.
Mayegun diary, Nayibi number one.
Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí.
Mayegun diary, Nayibi number one.
Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o.
Mayegun diary, Nayibi number one.
Bó bá ṣe eré, àní Mayegun máa wí.
Mayegun diary, Nayibi number one.
Ó sì tún ṣe eré, wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o.
Mayegun diary, Nayibi number one.
Mayegun diary, diary politico.
Mayegun diary, Nayibi number one.
Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun.
Mayegun diary, Nayibi number one.
Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o, kẹgbọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o.
Mayegun diary, Nayibi number one.
Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Mayegun diary, Nayibi number one.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Lórí Facebook.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Lórí YouTube.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Ijó ìgbádìyẹ.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
ẹ̀sìn ló bá rúfin o.
Máyégún máa mi,
àní ẹ̀ sọ́ra jù.
Máyégún ti dé.
Hello there. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. This is Máyégún Live. Thank you very much for joining me, brethren, dear Templars. Remember, after reading the caption of the broadcast, the ideal thing is for you to read the description of the broadcast so that you familiarize yourself with other important topics that we are going to be addressing. Then like the broadcast, hear it, invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell everyone that needs to be here that Máyégún today, Máyégún is live. And if you have done that already, thank you. So today, we are going to go the route or the route of history a little bit. Because according to the wise man, a wise man once said, those who fail to learn from history, they are bound to repeat the same mistake, yeah? And that is exactly what the history of Nigeria has always been about. Even though they removed history from your curriculum in your schools deliberately so that the criminals can be addressed or can be seen as heroes, as they normally say, our heroes past. And usually to some of us who have read the history very well, indeed, we realize that there is no real heroes in the history of that contraption, the geographical expression called Nigeria. And that is why those who are supposed to have been in jail or even dead by, their crime, dead for their crimes against that supposed country are paraded, presented as heroes. Genocidists who are supposed to have been killed for their criminal, act against the people of Nigeria. They are paraded as heroes. Our heroes past. You do not have any heroes past per se, because all you have are the criminals past, whose criminality is written in gold enough that they actually had medals for it. They call them the heroes past. I don't really buy that. Again, tonight we are going to touch on that, a bit of sprinkle of history, just to remind ourselves that some people felt like they could prevent all that you and I have now been faced with, all that you and I, right, are now possibly being subjected to as part of that contraption. If they had succeeded, maybe, just maybe, the trajectory of that contraption will be different today. But unfortunately, they did not succeed. Rather than them to clean the slate of what they saw as the potential doom for that contraption, rather than them to clean the slate, well, they ended up aggravating it. And today, Nigeria is not just being led by criminals. It has been captured by different kinds of criminals. Enough that the people themselves have become so divided, so impoverished, so backward, unfortunately, without any future. Unfortunately, I mean, what other outcome can we point out today that a Nigeria, a contraption that is now being led by a former drug lord, drug dealer, a drug addict, is now their president, a terrorist sympathizer, a terrorist protector, is now their vice president. And a bunch of criminals are holding sensitive, important, institutions in that contraption. Unfortunately, the generations that are being born into that place today have their future, their present and their future mortgaged by those who are not supposed to be closer to anywhere or anything called authority, but they are in authority today, unfortunately. I'll keep using that word, unfortunately. But look at us. Yeah. 59 years ago, right? Some soldiers who were in their own belief, they were tired of the trajectory that Nigeria was headed. And those who were championing that ruinous, divisive, tribalistic trajectory, right, deserved not only to be removed from power, they deserved to also possibly be jailed, even possibly for life. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. And here we are today. Nigeria is still existing, and the worst kind of a crime against humanity has been perpetuated against the people from generation to generation, 59 years after. Brethren, on the 15th of January, 1966, 59 years ago, in what we have read in a book called Why We Struck by Ademoyega. Remember Adewale, a participant in that coup that they thought could save Nigeria from the catastrophe that this generation of ours now have to kind of like live with, not even deal with. So in 1966, according to the coup plotters, or to these soldiers, brilliant soldiers who were like real soldiers at the time, and you know, patriotic guys who felt like the rhetoric that you know, was being pushed by the supposed northern rulers, southern rulers, were pretty much inimical, dangerous for the future of a young country. Nigeria was just about 6 years, no, 5.5 years old from independence at the time. So they conspired to get all these supposed First Republic criminals, Ahmadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa, what's the other one? Nnamdi Azikiwe, what's the other one from the east? And, you know, the Shah felt like they were going to get all of them, possibly get them out of power. And why? Why was that? They said the people were subjected to all kinds of hardship. The supposed independence, okay? You see, Nigeria was supposed to be independent. They were supposed to be living a new life, a life that is meant to be for people who are free. You see, people should have access to education. They should have access to, you know, modern infrastructures and all of that, prosperity of the land and what have you. But rather, the political class were living large. They were living flamboyantly. They were living above their means. They were so corrupt that it, you know, it hooked these young soldiers that they felt like they had to save this country from these rogues at the time. The number one racist in that contraption at the time, his name is Ahmadu Bello, is the descendant of the first terrorist in Nigeria, Uthman Danfodio as well. True story. This guy was preaching so much tribal, ethnic hatred that he never really hid it. Enough that there is actually a clip of him where it was, you know, it was so racist that you would think. He said a section of the country, the Igbos, for example, like they are the, I mean, they are the worst kind of humans, okay, because they are not controllable. They love to be independent-minded. Where in northern part of Nigeria, he himself as the premier of the northern region at the time, right? The most powerful man in northern part of Nigeria at the time. He preferred a white man or white to hold sensitive government positions than his own supposed fellow Nigerian, especially if you are Igbo or you are Yoruba, you are not wanted in northern part of Nigeria. He pronounced that, and yeah, he meant it. Anyway, the corruption at the time, according to these soldiers, was like Nigeria was supposed to be one country. They were one Nigerianist as well. They were one Nigerianist who believed that Nigeria should be one country. And therefore, they wanted to save her. To save one Nigeria, which later led to the program of the killings of the Igbos in northern part of Nigeria. Now, that didn't start in 1960s. It actually started in the mid-1940s to the 50s and to the early 60s. Kaduna Ezegu, who was born and raised in Zaria, Kaduna, was the head or the brain behind the coup. Their plan was to actually capture this supposed powerful political class and try them for corruption after they must have removed them from power. So in the morning of January 15, 1966, when they've supposedly designated all different kind of, contingents that will capture who was in charge of the Southwest. By then, Obafemi Awolowo, the then leader of the Western region, was already in jail by the plot of Tafawa Balewa and the rest who wanted to capture Yoruba land with the help of S.L. Akintola at the time. Now, S.L. Akintola happened to be the Western region premier when this coup was to take place. So, in northern part of Nigeria, Ahmadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa, who happened to be the premier, the prime minister of Nigeria, right? It's like the leader of Nigeria, so to say. When they got to Sardauna's place, Sardauna is Ahmadu Bello. When they got to his house, he only had just one gate to his house, which means the soldiers who blockade the entrance to his house, they were asking him to surrender. And he was like, as a fighter, well, from record, from this book, he won't surrender. He would rather die. So he opened fire on them, shot and injured some of these soldiers, but eventually it was overpowered. The history said that he would rather go out dead than to surrender, to be arrested. There was never a plan of killing any of them. There was never a plan. Similarly, same thing happened in Ibadan, Western region. When they got to S.L. Akintola's place as well, he himself was willing and ready to die than to be arrested by these mutinous coup plotters. So he also opened fire on them as well. Anyway, long story short, what the guys felt like they wanted to save from Nigeria, which is arrested the thieves of the First Republic, right? Prevent the tribal hatred, ethnic hatred that this political class were spreading at the time, right? Eventually it failed. And rather than for it to possibly reduce the hatred in that contraption, it's further cracked it up, like it skyrocketed it. Fortunately, those who stopped the coup were no other person than Aguiyi Rossi, as well as Odimegu Ojukwu. Yeah, they stopped the coup. They did all they could. And eventually, they stopped the coup, saved the republic, or saved Nigeria. So at the end of the 2-day, the 2-day program or so, right? 22 people were dead. 11 of them were politicians, and 11 others were uniformed men, so to say, soldiers as well as policemen. Aguiyi Rossi, who stopped the coup, arrested some of the coup plotters, ended up being the head of state, who announced the end of the regional system of government. He is never forgiven for that. The Igbos, who became the victim of the whole war, including the tribal hatred that the system finally popped up to this day, they haven't really recovered from that. So the hatred that the contraption represents lasted for another 59 years up to this day. Not even the unnecessary, genocidal war, which lasted for another 3 years from 1967 to 1970. could teach any of these bloodsuckers, warmongers or so. They couldn't teach them anything unity or anything to say we are one country, because we are never one. So 59 years after, we are still at that threshold of asking ourselves, do we really still want to be in the same country, or we actually would prefer to go our separate ways? So those Nigeria is working for, these are those who are benefiting from the contraption, the political class. If you are benefiting from the, from the fraud, the Nigeria is working for you, while millions, hundreds of millions of others, I'm talking about the majority, whether you are from the north or from the west or from the east, we cannot tell, right? Nigeria is not working for anyone, per se. So 59 years after, 59 years after, we are still at that, we are at that cliff, waiting for when the bell or the sound is going to probably sound, so to say. But there's been so much hatred in the system, enough that when I look at the one Nigerianist, I see ignorant people. I'm talking about people who have been fed the wrong part of their own history. Even though there's a part of the history that you are fed, which is to learn how to hate yourselves or pretend to like yourselves. But when an opportunity presents itself, we do not want to miss it. I'm talking about opportunity of us attacking and killing ourselves. It is always like, yeah, let's do it. If it is not between the Hausas and Fulanis, it will be Fulanis versus the rest of us, or the Yorubas versus the Igbos, or the Igbos versus the Jaws. It's a place where every day people can question and ask, wait, are we actually supposed to be one country, or we're supposed to be many countries in a region called West Africa? So on this, as you are reflecting or reading different kind of history that a lot of people have presented as theirs, there is a clarity here that you should always please remember that those who planned the first coup in Nigeria, they were one Nigerianist. They were Hausas, Yorubas, Igbos, Ijos, Ishekiris, and the rest of them who are part of that plot. And in their own effort, they thought they could save this republic. They could save Nigeria for Nigerians. But like those who are trying to save Nigeria now, and them, they have the same thing in common. They were wrong. You cannot force what is never meant to be together, no matter how long you try, and no matter how many years you pretend that you are one. I have read a lot of the history. I have seen so many biased stories. In all of this, there's one thing I have kind of like learned from all of it. It simply means, you see, those who claimed to own or to love Nigeria, they are doing so from their own vantage position of privilege, put it that way. I'm talking about those who believe that somehow they were the champions of what do you call it, of keeping Nigeria together. In fact, they gave themselves different kinds of award, to make themselves feel like they did a great job by keeping this contraption together and telling people to learn how to live together. You don't learn how to live together if you don't have anything in common. We do not have anything in common. This creation is never really meant to serve us. It is to serve the interest of some certain people. Some of them are dead. Some of them are still alive or dying as we speak. But when you are a young person and you can see clearly that every now and then, everybody who wants to tell you about Nigeria will be telling you that we should try and love ourselves. That tells you one thing. There is actually no real love. They will tell you that we should all come together. Let's come together for this country. One thing that tells you again is that we are never together, even if we have been pretending to be. 59 years for those who felt like they loved Nigeria, that they wanted Nigeria to be one, and they failed in that adventure. 59 years after that, millions of people have been slaughtered. Millions of lives have been destroyed. Millions of dreams have been shattered. And yet, one truth that we have all failed and we are so scared to accept is that what if we are actually not meant to be together? That's a question. Like you can sit down and be like, oh, my way to. What if we are actually not meant to be together? Why do we have to force ourselves to be together? From the word go, the idea of regional system in Nigeria is to let all of us have that independent independent existence. Do your thing, run your life, do whatever you think is good for you without you having to be affected, without that being affected by the actions or inactions of others, or without you having to blame other people for why you are not progressing or whether you are progressing too fast. The idea of us running our own affairs in our own different regions is enough to tell you that those who have written the history of that contraption to make it sound more like we are together, if you read it very well, you realize that there's always part of that history where they want you to believe that one region or this other region is a problem to this other region. You have seen those who have written the history on the part of the northerners, especially the Arewa North, who have presented an idea that the Easterners are the problems. And you have seen those who have written their own part of the history, their own history from the Yoruba land, the Western region. And they presented it as if the Northerners are the problems, or the Easterners are the problems. You have seen those who have written their own history from the eastern part of Nigeria, who have pointed out and said, oh, the Northerners are the problems, or the Yorubas are the problems. So if you all want to kind of like be reasonable, that tells you one simple thing. We all find problems in one another. So why then are we forcing ourselves to stay together? Then back to those who felt like the First Republic politicians were so corrupt that something had to be done. Now, most of them are dead. I don't think there is any of them that is still left. Well, maybe some of them are still left because Obasanjo is still there. Babangida is still alive. Bokwari is still alive. And a few others like that are still alive, who are part and parcel of that First Republic program and all that happened, okay? But listen, I am trying to kind of be as honest as possible. Sure, you get. If you meet the Easterners or you meet the Northerners and you read the history from the Westerners, there is always finger pointing. The Igbos are the problem. The Igbos will say, no, the Yorubas are the problem. No, the Yorubas will say, no, the Hausas, the Northerners are the problem. Meanwhile, the Northerners will say, no, the Easterners are the problem. So why then are we maintaining and keep maintaining the idea that we are one country where we can actually sit together and say, listen, let's kind of like let's part our ways this way, and we can respect ourselves, for our uniqueness. Let the Yorubas respect the Igbos in whatever they choose to do in their own country. Let the Igbos also respect the Yorubas in whatever they choose to do in their own country. Similarly, let both of us respect what the Arewas want to do in their own country. In this case, right, after 59 years of back and forth, right, Nigeria has now shown that there is no one Nigeria, but many Nigerias. Ideally, there are those who can't even like entertain the idea of these regions being their own countries, because to them there is an advantage in being big. But what is the advantage of being big in this contraption, this big for nothing, the giant of Africa that has become the burden of the world? Everywhere you go, a lot of people will tell you, a lot of these other countries will tell you how much they do not want to have anything to do with Nigeria. Sincerely, we have become a group of people that others are so suspicious of. When you go to this other part of Africa, where we're supposed to be, we're supposed to be the big brother of Africa. They all have one or two things to say about Nigeria and Nigerians. that they don't want them, or Nigerians are this or that, because rather than be a blessing, a big brother in Africa, after 64 years, going to 65 years of independence, we have rather been what? A burden, a problem. Now, that may not completely be our own making, but the system that we have sustained for these 64 years has been a system of criminality. System where criminals, the more criminally you are, the likelihood you are going to be in position of authority in that contraption. You're going to get away with a lot. Depends on the side of the pendulum or the side of the coin that you belong to. So when we lie to ourselves that there's an advantage in us being big, or when you kind of be reasonable enough and say, what is that advantage of being big? There is none. So if they are sharing history today, because if you have read a lot about what happened in 1966, 59 years ago, that was 19 years before I was born. Yeah, that's 19 years before I was born. Now today, the consequences of that action of 1966, I, as a person, I am still sharing part of that, the consequences. You are sharing part of that. And the only thing they don't want to happen is to say, well, what if we just go our separate ways? What do you think is going to happen? What is the worst that is going to happen? Eh? Nigeria, with the population of 220 million, there is not even, there's no scientific evidence. You have a contraption where you do not know the number of people in that country. Yeah, there is no reliable data that says this is the number of citizens of Nigeria. This is the number of women, number of children, number of the employed, the unemployed. There is no real data. We are existing in a metaverse. I mean, in a metaverse of something like in a vacuum, where those who are leading us are a bunch of rogues whose interest is more important to them than the interest of supposed 200 million people. They don't care, and they will never care. So keeping Nigeria together, it is not in our own interest. It is in the interest of those who find themselves in the position of power. And please don't give me that excuse that it is similar in other parts of Africa. I am from the contraption called Nigeria. So I am not supposed to be bothered. I don't give a damn about if they are facing the same problem in Ghana or they are facing the same problem in Tanzania or wherever it is. I am talking about a place where even my own ancestors were not given the chance to choose if they want to be part of this contraption or not, rather than for them to just play their part in ensuring it remains just one. So if I have a choice, if you have a choice, what would you choose? Would you choose Nigeria? If you have a choice right now, would you choose to have your own independent country out of it? What would you choose? I would choose to be out of this contraption. Yeah, carry the cross, face the consequences, and choose choose our own path. That's something that we will likely never have without a fight. That's something that we must all actually really fight for. Or else, in 159 years to come, when most of us will be gone, our own children and children's children, they will be subjected to the same backward, corrupt contraption that they have forced our own forebearers, our own ancestors to be part of without any choice. So if you read all of the histories, majority of the people have shared today, you will see the Northerners telling you why they will never forget the killing of that racist, that tribalist, that mofo called Ahmadu Bello. They will tell you that. So if they are never going to forget, why are they in the same country with the people they accuse of killing him? Why do you want to be in the same country with the Igbos if you feel like they were behind the killing of your ancestors? Why do you still want to be in the same country with them? You as an Igbo man or Igbo woman, why do you want to be part of this contraption? Why do you hate the idea of Biafra 59 years after of when the program that was sponsored by political class in northern part of Nigeria, especially against the Igbos? Why do you still want to be part of this contraption? Why are you pretending that one Nigeria actually exists? Why? Why are you living in denial? Why do you want your brothers and sisters to be killed for even demanding for Biafra? Why? There are so many things that if you read your history right now, you realize that the history of that contraption is written in blood, the blood of innocent people. Most of the people killed for the control, for power in that contraption, yes, are mostly innocent people. People who are just like by association, by tribal association, they became a victim of this contraption. Why do you want to keep it together? Then they went for the genocidal war, and those who carried out the genocide, they were rewarded. None of them was tried for war against humanity. None of them. They were rewarded. They were so rewarded that they even named monuments after them. The chief genocidist, Muritala Muhammad, has the currency, his face printed on a currency in Nigeria. There are songs written for him, or written about him. They have, monuments named after him to remember a genocidist like that. That is what that contraption is. So a generation that want to correct this, this nonsense, that generation must educate their minds and know that if you continue to hold this contraption together, what you are doing is that you are holding together a system that is built, right, to actually kill you. That is what Nigeria is. Somebody said that it's so funny. Maybe it is not. It is so shameful that we didn't even name ourselves. What do you think we will call ourselves if we actually really to name ourselves? They call them Gold Coast in Ghana. Immediately, they were on their way for their independence. They changed their name. They called themselves Ghana, a real name that defined them. In Zimbabwe, they called them the Rhodesia. And yes, immediately they got their own independence. They dropped that slavish and colonial name. They called themselves Zimbabwe, something that really, really defined them. But they call you Nigeria, Niger area. And I do not have anything close to the Niger. I do not live close to the Niger. I'm from the southern part of that place, very far away, over 700 or 800 kilometers, if not like 1,000 kilometers away from that same river Niger or the river Benue or what have you. But they kind of have to name you after it. So if we have to name ourselves, what do you think we'll call ourselves? What do you think they will call you if you have to name yourselves? Everything that exists in that place today is by the design of those who set it up as their business. Nigeria. Some say that we will likely have to fight another civil war. We'll push ourselves to that edge where we have to fight another civil war before the contraption will finally break up. We are saying, do we really need to? Well, I would say we don't really have to fight another war. We can tell that we are incompatible. No matter how much lies they are repeating, we are incompatible. We have so much, we do not have anything in common, all of us. And yes, we can choose to live together, but that should be our own choice. That should be something that every one of us is allowed. Every part of that contraption is allowed to chip in and give conditions of if they want to live together. Do you want to still live in that contraption? Huh? That should be something we should be allowed to decide. Not by politicians, not by these criminals. Like I said, those who planned the first coup in Nigeria, they thought they've seen corruption. They thought they've seen bigotry, tribal and then ethnic hatred, religious supremacy. I wish some of them, I wish they are still alive to see what Nigeria has turned out to become. Eh? I wish they are. And they can say, wow, maybe we should have probably just left everything as it was. Because those who succeeded, the first Republican politicians, they have become the jackals, the hyenas, the carnivorous animals that feed on their own, kind. Well, maybe not on their own kind per se, but the weak animals, you say. Those who don't give a damn about the people they were supposed to actually lead. Where women and children are victims of their failed different policies in that contraption for years. They are living large still. They are looting like money is going out of circulation. Bunch of shameless old men and women, so selfish, so self-centered, that they believe that they are actually doing us a favor for holding political office, for holding sensitive positions. Like judiciary is not even like the last hope of a common man anymore. It's now the tool of the rich, the wealthy, the powerful. Or they have a democracy, demonstration of a craze. Yeah? Where freedom of speech is not a guarantee of a freedom after speech. They say it to you. There's freedom of speech, but there is no guarantee that there will be freedom after speech. That is what the contraption has become. It's come so long way that millions of lives wasted and millions more are wasting away as we speak. They said there may be light after the tunnel. Another lie. There is no light after any tunnel. It's darkness all through. So hard not to hate Nigeria. Even though I do not preach that you should hate Nigeria, but you should hate those who have put you in this situation if you can. They do not deserve any love. In fact, you do not hate them enough. They flaunt their wealth, ill-gotten wealth. They looted from you, turned themselves to philanthropists. They deny you all basic things of life. Electricity, good road, hospital, schools for your children. They deny you all of this. Jobs for those of you who are graduates. But still, they call themselves a philanthropist. The lovers of the poor. Yeah, to be lovers of the poor, that means you have to create more poor and more poverty. From the north to the east, to the west, to every part of that contraption, there is nowhere that is not feeling the pang. No one that is not feeling the pang of it. Now we all love our own criminals differently. You see the Yorubas that will defend their own criminals. You see the Igbos that will defend their own criminals. Or then you see the Arewas that will kind of be ready to kill for their own criminals. People are being pushed left, right, and center, and there's actually no real way forward. People are only existing. They are not living. So Nigeria is a place where dream goes to die. So how long do you think this is going to be? If you have been reading all the posts from those who have been talking about what happened 59 years ago, there you have it. That's what you need to know about the lies, about that contraption. We are not one. Every one of them is still preaching the hatred, still preaching the division, still pointing fingers, the blame game, and still waiting or not satisfied. Yes, they are still waiting to have their pound of flesh. I'm talking about those who were, see, I was not born during the time of all this eightful period. I wasn't born, but I'm actually sharing from that today. And then they want me to carry on the hate. You know, there are those who want you to carry on the hatred. They ask you, what do you think the Yorubas have done to you wrong? What do you think Yorubas have done to you? They say, but Yorubas did so and so to our fathers. But they did that to your own forefathers. Not to you. No, not to me. So you hated Yorubas for that? Yes, I hate you. I hate Yorubas with. I hate the Igbos. I hate the Hausas. I hate this. Not. I say, okay, why? Do you know what they did to our forefathers? But not to you. So we are existing in a country where it is right for you to carry on the hatred. Like you just have to carry it on. You know, you are seeing parents who are sharing the hateful hatred, messages and all of that or history with their own children so that they can carry it on. With the idea of break it up to save life is also scary to some of you. You don't want to live apart. You don't want to live together. So we are just existing, lying to ourselves. So I am pro break it up. And if I, by any chance, have an opportunity to get closer to power, I will use that opportunity to facilitate the easy breakup of that contraption. So mark my face. And I implore some of you too. The only thing we haven't tried is to kind of go and live separately. We should try that. We haven't tried that. You shouldn't be afraid of living separately. I do know that the reason why this contraption is still existing is because they still have money to share. But somehow, I think we're going to get to that stage where there will be no money to share anymore. So otherwise, we'll have to find their ways. The Kwara Rappers, the Middle Beltons are already saying they are not Northerners. So yes, this is what I'm saying. If we want to still live together, then there must be some kind of like an arrangement, an agreement, which I doubt that if we have the opportunity of deciding if we want to be together or not, the answer is going to be no. No, we don't want to be together. That's why that decision must not be left for the politicians to decide. It must be you and I should decide. For politicians, as long as they are writing budget, as long as they can use Nigerian name as collateral in borrowing money, enriching themselves, Nigeria can continue to exist in perpetuity. And the Nigerians, they can continue to suffer and live in poverty in perpetuity as well. So what would you prefer? So I am imploring some of you who have eyes in holding sensitive, possibly powerful positions from every part of that contraption. The only thing we haven't tried, which is only way to prosperity for everyone, peace, and then peaceful coexistence, is for us to push the agenda, the idea of the break up that contraption and save lives of the generations yet unborn. They have mortgaged the ones that are here. They have also mortgaged the future of the ones that are not here yet. And they are going to be here. Just like you and I were born into this whole mess. We are not allowed to offer solutions to it. And the only solution that they do not want you to actually push is that let's go our separate ways. Let everybody handle their own affair. We're not going to die. Why? Are we going to die if we actually live on our own? So that we can deal with our own criminals in our own way. Let the Igbos deal with their own Igbo criminals. Let the Yorubas deal with their own Yoruba criminals. Let the Hausas and maybe Fulanis deal with their own criminals. Let everybody deal with their own criminals. Let majority of these criminals stop hiding under the banner of one Nigeria, because there is no one Nigeria. The only thing you have is many Nigerias. And that is what you must really push. No matter how long it takes. As long as I live, this will be my own goal. As long as I live. I will give you reasons. And I will continue to give you more reasons why it is better. It is safer. It is prosperous. It is more promising. If we break up this contraption, nobody will die. Let Britain, America, and the rest of them, let them find new allies in these new countries. Because today, we have become such a burden enough that we are called immigrants in this Western world. Whenever they are discussing immigrants, They will tell you about Nigerians who have left Nigeria to go and find solace, greener pasture, when in actual fact, it's not that green in this part of the world. So yeah, there's so many interested parties in keeping that contraption together. But the only people that will decide if the contraption is going to remain one or not are the people themselves, you and I. And I hope you will decide on that whenever the opportunity presents itself. This contraption is put together to kill us. And we are just victims waiting to happen. Disaster waiting to happen. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Let's go to some other things. The person that is now in charge of the contraption today is a drug dealer or a former drug dealer, a drug addict, treasury looter. And that is Setik Numbu, the Jaga Wiri, the Jaga bandit, the Jaga addict. Asiwaju àwọn olè, Asiwaju àwọn agbèrò of Nigeria. He is currently in Abu Dhabi. They're talking about climate change. And he is their guest, second year running. He was invited last year. He's there again this year. And this is what he told them today.
The stage is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to begin by extending my deepest gratitude to the President of the United Arab Emirates, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed bin Sultan Nahyan, for inviting me to this Abu Dhabi Sustainable Week. I thank the government and good people of Abu Dhabi for their generous hospitality and foresight in organizing this event. This week, leaders from all over the world come together to exchange views and perspectives on how we can collectively address the global challenges of our time. The fight against climate change is not merely an environmental necessity, but a global economic opportunity to reshape the trajectory of our continent and the global energy landscape. As leaders, stakeholders, and citizens of our planet, we stand at a crucial and critical junction in human history. To succeed, we must innovate and decisively collaborate as a global community. As Africa's most populous nation and one of its largest economies, Nigeria recognizes its responsibility to demonstrate the required leadership on these matters. We have embraced a vision of sustainability that aligns with global aspiration while addressing the local realities. Our efforts are anchored on three pillars: energy transition, climate resilience, and sustainable development. My administration, we recognize the importance of reducing carbon emission and a just transition to clean and renewable energy, promoting environmental sustainability and economic growth. Our energy transition plan, like many nations, are aimed at diversifying energy sources and reducing our dependency on fossil fuel. Prioritizing the transition to cleaner energy sources as a cornerstone of our national development strategy. Nigeria is committed to achieving a net zero emission by 2060, in line with global climate objectives. We are developing the infrastructure to utilize compressed natural gas and electric vehicles. Nigeria also is investing substantially in energy generation through exploration of efficient and internationally certified data required to export our solid mineral and critical metal in support of the green energy transition. Climate resiliency must be achieved. Building resiliency against the adverse effect of climate change is essential for safeguarding our African communities and economies. Nigeria is implementing climate-smart agricultural practices to enhance food security while reducing environmental impacts. The government has approved several development policies such as National Clean Cooking Gas Policy, which is aimed at promoting clean energy, environment, and health benefits and socio-economic development in our region. We believe the sustainable development must be inclusive. We are therefore working tirelessly to ensure that our policies promote equity and social justice, leaving no one behind. Challenges versus opportunities in Nigeria, yes, there are, and there will continue to be challenges. But how do you mitigate that? We face serious challenges, environmental challenges, including deforestation, desertification, coastal erosion.
The stage is yours.
So if there's something that he has learned is, to pay attention to the teleprompter that he is reading from. Somebody said he's not reading. Abba. Do you have to be kind of like a bit told? It is Tifnumbu. Remember? The incoherent Tifnumbu. So it is to save you the embarrassment of just giving him a note. So we'd rather use a teleprompter, which is right there in front of him. And fair enough, the coverage itself could take that away, enough that you probably would think it's not there, but it's there. Both left and right. Sorry, left and right. So he's talking about Nigeria investing in renewable energy. Renewable energy is electricity. According to, it simply means that less of the fossil fuel, which is not really, reduction in any fossil fuel. They are all still flying their private jets. I bet most of them who went to that summit in Dubai flew there in their private jets. Yeah, if you go to there, and that is more like, burning the fossil fuel than a majority of millions of cars in, millions of cars will ever sort of burn. But it's all lies, However, it's talking about renewable energy, where they probably will say, we have invested more in solar power this or wind energy. Do you have that in Nigeria? No, you don't. That's it. It's just all talk. At the end of the day, he is there to do his usual Bambiala. However, this is the concluding part.
Pollution and many other negative impacts of climate change.
Talking about pollution, there is still here what they call the gas flaring in Niger Delta of Nigeria. There is still oil spillages across the Niger Delta part of Nigeria. Ogoni cleanup is still there, where the soil, the environment is destroyed, the ecosystem is destroyed. There is no single investment in that or cleaning of that. It's just talk.
Pollution and many other negative impacts of climate change. Lake Chad continues to shrink every year. Livelihood of people continue to be threatened. Our government is working with local communities to implement solutions to mitigate these effects and help us build resilience in the face of environmental challenges. To promote a green economy in Africa, we must focus on integrating sustainable practices in all sectors of our economy. These investments are capital intensive in nature, and it required international support from partner countries, including multinational organizations. Developmental partners and individuals who shared our vision of a sustainable, prosperous, and equitable future must be included. Nigeria became the first country in Africa to initiate funding for green projects through sovereign green bond proceeds, the third issuance of which is currently in progress. We urge investors to partner with us in this regard. Our government remains committed to providing an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Harnessing technology and innovation is key to driving sustainable development. Nigeria is increasingly embracing new technologies like clean energy, water conservation, land and forest restoration, waste management, and circular economy. We will partner with global leaders and harnessing the power of technology. We are finding new and innovative ways to address our environmental challenges. We have arable agricultural lands for advanced technological farming, including a brighter future for artificial intelligence. Global collaborations are challenges that we must overcome. And global solution will only be effective if we work together in the spirit of mutual respect and a shared future. Nigerian government believes that sustainable development is not just a national issue, but a global imperative. We must continue to strengthen international cooperation at regional and global levels and mitigate the effects of climate change. Dear esteemed delegates, in addition to everything you've heard in the last few days, the most impactful image that I'm taking away from
nuisance lele.
So I had to start with that, okay, so that we can go to other things afterward. It's practically just, yes, they wrote the speech for him, put it on the teleprompter for him. He's just reading it out there, and he's reading all the lies, all the nonsense. Nigeria invested in new technology. I beg you, what is that new technology that Nigeria just introduced in reducing, in managing waste disposal? What new technology is Nigeria or Tinubu and his gang just introduced in combating the, what do you call it, the gas flaring, or the rest of you that, as somebody just put it now, thank you, Jare Rafubi. You are burning your generator every day because you don't get electricity. Renewable energy, invested by, he's talking about AI, artificial intelligence. Do you know that you need 24 hours electricity before you can even say you want to start anything called AI at all? But he's reading the nonsense there. Why your national grid is collapsing, like person with the suffer warapa, epilepsy, because it's called epileptic power supply. Just all talks. Doing there, read all the jargons, take some pictures, feel so good and important, post some of the pictures online, and then tell people that Can you see that we are working? See what we are doing? It's sad. It's unfortunate. There's no real thing. Just lies. Just lies. I don't even know if they are just lies or mockery. You know? It's pure modern. It's like mockery. Just say all these things. Let's pretend that they are true or real when they are not. You know, there's something about the Coups as well. Sometimes they want lies to be true. And that's why they call people like myself. They said people like myself are those who just don't want to give them chances, or we are doubting Thomases. Because when you tell them these are lies, they know they are lies. They are not saying they are 100% true. They just feel like, even if they are lies, let's just hope that they turn to truth. And there's no how many times you tell a lie that it will automatically change to truth. No, it doesn't work that way. You know, actions is what matters. Action is what matters. Okay, not just words. But in reality, it's all trash. And they begin to wait. They wait to see if the lies will turn to the truth. And if it doesn't, they wait for more lies. As they are suffering from what is called the Stockholm Syndrome as well. Stockholm Syndrome, you know. Somewhere in Port Harcourt, I think it said that they are kidnappers. Kidnappers. They attempted to kidnap an expatriate. I want to, somewhere around Eleme in River State, okay? It was a Dodge and this driver. And the kidnappers targeting them started chasing them. So the driver, trying to escape from these kidnappers, ended up speeding their truck into a ditch, into a river. The driver survived, but the Dutchman didn't. And 2 days ago, they had to kind of like remove their truck from the river. Just like this.
Where the motor flow enter? Where the motor flow enter?
See that door they open, oh, that car door they open. That door they open.
Igbo man died.
Carry that motor come out, say the break.
Like I said, we are all victims waiting to happen. The survivors of yesterday, they are today's victims. The survivors of today, they are the potential victims of tomorrow. If you are watching this broadcast, that simply means you've survived today. Tomorrow will be another day, and the day after, and the day after. But every day, the system is claiming its own victims. Every day. So your day will come, my day will come. A system put together to kill us. Because Nigeria is like a weapon fashioned against us. We can live in denial for all we care. All you care. Continue to live in that denial. It shall never be my portion in Jesus' name. Right. But in Yoruba, there is something we call the Ikuton Paujugbaeni or Wilon Pakuni. You see that same death that is taking your mates is kind of like somehow giving you the sign that one day it's going to be you. Yeah, it's going to be your turn. And I bet it you do not want to go in a violent way. So if you ask me, what then should you do? It simply means you have to be on our side, the side of those who want this contraption, like, break it up before it turns before you become the next victim that's whose picture and story will appear on this channel. Because one day I am also going to be a story on other people's channels, right? I find myself in that contraption, anything can happen. And it's just a matter of time. I'll be there. You know? It's called Turn by Turn Nigeria Limited. So make you now kill this contraption before this contraption kill all of us. But if you don't agree, no problem. There's a Dutchman who came to kind of like those before him, his own ancestors. He was there, you know, for his own share. They told him, come and work here in Nigeria. We'll pay you more. We'll pay you a danger allowance. We'll pay you security allowance. We'll pay you a social allowance. It's going to make more money working in Nigeria than it will make working in Netherlands. So he's an expatriate with a driver in a place that is considered one of the most dangerous places on earth. You don't know that, do you? Nigeria is one of the most dangerous places on earth. Well, yeah, a lot of you have zoned out. Like, if this thing is not happening to me, or it hasn't happened to me, it's likely not happening. Now we day here. Well, let me tell you, this story is exaggerated. Now we day here. Now we live here. And they tell you it's not that bad. You know, people have told me that many times. It's not that bad. See, we don't have any other country. We don't have anywhere to run to. We day here. You day here. That means the system has enough people to take out until the rest of you feel like something has to be done. Nobody should be living like that. Nobody should be existing in that way. In a way where you can always be like, it could be your turn anytime. You know? Among many other dangers that a mismanaged, poorly managed countries poses to our own citizens. Nigeria is a place, it's like, you know, Nigeria is like a system that actually hits our own people, kill our own children, and still proud that it's existing. You know? But that's just that. Another one, where Oshiomole and his gang of rogues have hijacked the government of Edo State. So today, they had what they call the governorship tribunal hearing in Benin City, Edo State. While those parties involved in this governorship tussle, APC, PDP and APC, while they were inside the courtroom, High Court in Benin City, the government's vehicle dropped 2 thugs, armed thugs, outside the court premises. But guess what? They were wearing the PDP governorship candidates' t-shirts. Ridiculous. And then they started shouting and shooting outside the court. There's nothing sacred to these criminals. Let me show you. He was putting on a PDP t-shirt and it was dropped there and it was also taken away by the APC, Egbekebe's government in Edo State, their own vehicle. Like, what the heck?
That's right, boys.
Oh, I wish I edited the video enough to bring it up. But they couldn't even stage something like that in a better way. How could somebody who is wearing Aswe Igodalo's campaign t-shirt be picked up by a government house vehicle? How? And why was he outside the court shooting, shouting, "When I will give us our mandate," and policemen in that place, they didn't arrest him. The police or the security guys there, they just looked away. The last time, they beat up all those who claim to be PDP supporters, who came to sympathize with their own governorship candidate. They beat them up. I showed that on this platform then, remember? I'm not sorry. I'm not, you know. This is Nigeria. This is the reality today. This is what people have to kind of live with. And this is what they call politics in Nigeria. It is politics. So if now you no go do more than that. Or if now this is Nigeria. This is what the rest of the world have to see about Nigeria. No thanks to APC. You know? And similarly, in Lagos, where they removed Obasa. Yeah, the Obaron, Obasa. So we have now been told that it was like a coup. The removal of Obasa is not even in Nigeria as we speak. And immediately he got removed for the blessing Mojisola Miranda and his, and a team. They had to go to a place called the GAC next to, this is like Sanwo-Iku's house. GAC, this is a Governorship Advisory Council. I told you about them the last time, right? And she said they went there for their endorsement and they got it. APC,
brief them about what happened at the House of Assembly yesterday to seek their blessing and which we have gotten. Thank you so very much.
It's done. And to those who care to listen, Obasa is gone. It's gone for good. That's what they are saying. And the power play continues as well. In another development, they had the man that is believed to have brought this upon you. Whatever you are facing in that contraption today, a demand that facilitated or orchestrated that. Muhammadu Yakubu of INEC, it was at the National Assembly and was with some committee like that, and they were talking about the local government autonomy, where they believe that the INEC should be conducting the local government elections, not the state SIEC. So in that exchange, this was Muhammadu Yakubu's response, if you care.
The position of the Commission on what the Joint Committee calls trending issues surrounding the Supreme Court judgment and local government elections, the position of the Commission. I would have loved to be asked by the Commission, by the Joint Committee, if there is any specific thing you would like to know about the position of INEC. But so far, we have had three broad arguments or positions canvassed. One, transfer responsibility for the conduct of local government elections to INEC. The question is, and that's probably what this joint committee wants to hear, if that's done, can INEC cope? I will come back to that. The second proposition we have had is that no, there should be a new Federal Electoral Commission for local government elections. And then thirdly, there is another argument that no, leave the state electoral commissions to conduct local government elections in the spirit of federalism, but find a way of ensuring that they improve on the conduct of local government elections. Right now, the law has not been amended. The same constitution that creates INEC also creates the state independent electoral commissions. So it is up to the National Assembly to amend the law to transfer that responsibility to INEC. If that is done, the question is, can INEC cope? Because we have also been saying that we should be unbundled. That is true, but we have never said that we should be unbundled beyond the conduct of electoral activities rather than elections. There are two activities we handle. There is what is called electoral activities, not necessarily related to elections. It includes voter registration, registration and regulation of political parties, prosecution of electoral offenders, delimitation of constituencies, and what have you. These are electoral activities. And we believe that some of these responsibilities can be handled by other agencies. And this point has been made consistently since 2008 by committees established to reform our electoral processes, beginning with the West Commission in 2008, West said that some responsibilities should be removed from the Independent National Electoral Commission. And the same argument was made by the Lemu Committee in 2011, and by the Indamani Committee in 2018, and also by members of the National Assembly who sponsored individual bills for the creation, especially of the Electoral Offences Commission and Tribunal. I don't want to digress into the Electoral Commission and Offences Tribunal issue, but if any distinguished senator or honorable member asks me later, I will now say what I think about the Electoral Offences Commission and Tribunal. So, if this responsibility for conduct of local government election is transferred to INEC, can INEC cope? The answer is yes, INEC can cope. What are we? By definition, INEC is the independent National Electoral Commission. But right now, we do national elections we do state elections, we do local government elections. A National Electoral Commission may be expected to handle only the Presidential and National Assembly, but we also do governorship elections, we do state assembly elections, and we do the area council elections in the Federal Capital Territory, the only part of the country where INEC conducts local government elections. So if we are asked to do these elections, yes, we can. And our track record actually proves that we can do it. Take the case of the Federal Capital Territory. And I would like to say one or two things about the Federal Capital Territory local government elections. There are 6 area councils in the FCT. So there are 6 chairmen of area councils, meaning chairmen of local governments. But there are 62 wards in the FCT. Each ward is a councillorship constituency for the election of councillors. And this is one part of the country where INEC has conducted local government elections. And it has resulted in the following. Number one, it is perhaps the only part of the country where local government elections are held regularly. As and when due, elections are held in the FCT. Number two, there has never been a caretaker committee for any area council in the FCT. INEC has been conducting the elections regularly. Number three, there is stability of tenure or security of tenure. It used to be 3 years, but in 2022, the National Assembly amended the Electoral Act to provide for a 4-year tenure for area councils in the FCT. So they enjoy security of tenure. Number four, no single political party has ever won elections in all the constituencies in the FCT. Not one. In fact, what is interesting now is that out of the 6 chairmen of the FCT, actually the constituencies are evenly split between the APC and the PDP. APC have 3 area councils, PDP have 3 area councils. In fact, what is equally very interesting for me for the FCT is that, take the 6 area councils, you have the most urban area councils, Amak and Buari.
Nuisance Lele.
I was supposed to be in jail, by the way. But like I said from the beginning, the more criminally you are, the likelihood that you are going to hold sensitive, important positions or government or public institutions. That's how it works. If you dare try to be different, that you want something done rightly, you will be sacrificed and you will be damned. That is the guy that is going to conduct your 2027 charade again. So you better be prepared. In that same chamber was where the exchanges between Adams Oshiomhole and the supposed JAMB, Ishak Oloyede, is that what his name is? Oloyede or so. That man from JAMB that used 900 million naira to fumigate mosquitoes. 1.1 billion naira for meals. He came back later to deny it, but he couldn't deny that in front of them at the place. Like, there was supposed to be a man that he said saved the JAMB from, financial hemorrhage or something like that. Now I have that exchanges. Do you mind?
I joined in the preferring the point made by my deceased brother that work with 1 billion cannot be miscellaneous. We need to have the details. But I also feel that the guys who are paying these, the source of revenue, they are the sons and daughters of people who are grossly underpaid. So raising revenue for candidates who are seeking admission or whatever, for me is something we need to look at. Should we impose more punishment on people who, because in most cases, they have to fall back on few privileged people, businessmen, and in particular politicians. to say I can't afford to pay XYZ, can you pay for me? I think that JAM should be sensitive to the reality of the country as it is today, that we are not supposed to put more burden on the children of the poor who attend universities. So for me, it's not something to celebrate, because it's like deepening the challenges that the poor are already facing. Now, that said, I look at how you spend the money, and I have huge challenges. For example, you go to number 13 and 14 on page 13. I see here local travels and transport orders, 600 million. Then 14 with Esther, local travels and transport training, 6.4 billion. Now, if you add the two, it becomes 7 billion. Which, how can you have two categories of local travel? Is it one within Kaduna, or sorry, within Abuja, and the other one within Nigeria? How is it? So, because what I found from all the agencies is that huge resources are spent on training, and training will rely for the specific content of those training and who benefit from the training, and cross it over the total sum. You find that this cannot be justified. Not at the time when we are borrowing to fund our budget. Then I look at some of the items, they are almost one and the same. You're spending 850 million naira for security. I don't know whether you are entitled to security vote. Cleaning and fumigation, 850. Even if you live in a farm, do you need this kind of money to, what are you fumigating? Against snakes or mosquitoes that will consume this amount? Because for me, this is the problem we face about throwing so much money on issues that cannot be verified. Just like local government breaking rules, and when you ask them, they say we fail after. And so you cancel it. Then refreshment. Refreshment and meals, 1.1 billion naira. Are you entitled to be fed by government? And your workers being freely fed? Now, these are huge numbers. When you take them together, you realize that you are spending for what you are generating for poor students, some of them orphans. Then we need to be more critical about how you spend. My general impression is that there is a level of luxury spending and things that are neither here or there. I see here, and I think next time we should have the privilege of having these documents in advance so that we can do proper
Nigeria is not a real place. And that is not just a statement. It's a statement of fact. And you have to be somebody who is ready to be a deep thinker to understand what that means, okay? Because Nigeria is a place where everything is, how do I put this? So, like, it's a place that defies logic. Like you can say, this is how things are done in a saner climate, right? In a saner climate. And so logically, well, that's how it should be. When you get to Nigeria, it defies all logic. You'll be more than disappointed if you want to use any standard, any normal standard of how things should be done. When it comes to this contraption, it defeats all that, defies it, and you just have to take whatever you get. So that's why I said it's not like a real place. It is that bad, right? That even when they do something right, it is considered a mistake. They were celebrating this Oloyede guy who has been there now for nearly 10 years. You know, this guy was there since 2015 or something. He's been appointed as a JAMB registrar or something like that since 2015. And they said, oh, that those before him only remitted 30 million naira. Since he came, he has been remitting 1 billion, 2 billion. They kind of have been hyping him. He's not corrupt. He's and all of that. Now, the guy sat there. They were reading his own budget to him. It's like they are reading your own budget to you. And you sat there quietly, surprised that they are actually like so interested in the numbers. Then today he came out and he said, no, the refreshment is not 1.1 billion, it is 1 million naira. Are you mad? Are you really mad? Like, you actually had the opportunity of saying no there. You didn't. You fumigated where? Your offices across Nigeria of mosquito, Papa, with 850 million naira. Like, are you mad? You traveled, local travel with 6.5 or so million billion. What are you talking about? 7 billion for traveling and then training of staff. What would you? But that's how they do it in that place. So it's like he raised the fund. Then he started taking care of himself. You know? Like they say, now where man they walk, now we're in the shop. That's why they call them workshop. You know? Because if he doesn't spend the money, another person they will appoint after him will come and spend the whole money. Ask Peter Obi. Obi was governor for 80 years. As he was paying bursary, he was paying contractors, owed no one, no debt. He didn't borrow any money. Anambra State had zero debt. And they also had surplus, $150 million deposited somewhere, and over 120 billion naira deposited somewhere. All facts, only for another looter to take over, Obaino. Obaino spent 8 years as governor of Anambra State. Looted the $150 million, looted the 120 billion naira, and at the end of the day, when it was done, Anambra State was in debt of over 200 billion naira. And guess what? Half of that is the debt owed to contractors. So what is the essence? And that's why you can see somebody like a Dombo Solu Dump coming to take a diss at Peter Obi, that he has the record, that there's no record that Obi left the money for him. Are you mad? Somebody was there for 8 years. He is now a guest of the EFCC today because of the loot. The looting he perpetuated after Obi. The man that left the money is walking about and is daring all of you to bring evidence of if he had committed any crime or any financial crime when he was governor, bring the evidence. But no, you jumped Obaino and went back for the person who actually really saved you money, improved your education, improved your healthcare, improved your infrastructure, to the point that somebody else who came after that plundered everything, and his name is not being mentioned. I'm just using an example like that, like, you know, Oloyede is like, if I raise the money, somebody else will come and steal the money, which is the norm. You know, it is the norm. So he had to take care of himself, start taking the money himself, just before he's going to get kicked out or something. And if you ask them, who is going to pay these debts? They will say maybe, they will be like this segment. They say, Jesus has paid all my debts. I think this is what I'm going to be doing in 2025. If I owe you money, I need you to know that no be me they owe you money. Because Bible says Jesus has paid all our debts. So if I owe you money, If I borrow money from you, I they owe you money, or anybody where they owe, play them this clip.
Then gbogbo time tí mo ń yáwó lọ́wọ́ yín ìgbà tí mo wà nínú ayé ni tí Bíbélì ń pè ní ìgbà àìmọ̀. Bíbélì dẹ̀ fìdí ẹ̀ múlẹ̀ fún mi pé Jésù olùgbàlà aráyé ó ti san gbogbo gbèsè mi. Ó ti san gbogbo gbèsè mi. So bí mo bá jẹ ẹnikẹ́ni lówó, ẹ bá mi rí Jésù. Ẹ pè wọ́n, ẹ fẹjọ́ mi sùn wọ́n. Bàbá mi tí ń bẹ lọ́run kò ní dójú tì mí. Ó possible kẹ́ má ra lat. But mo owó yẹn máa ti add up mọ́nú account yín, go there and check properly. Ẹni tó rán mi níṣẹ́ ti san gbogbo gbèsè mi. Then
you get that now? Oh, possible. It is possible for you not to see any alerts. But if I am owing you, report me to Jesus. Because my Father in heaven has paid all my debts. I think I should be using that. It's just that it doesn't really work that way. It doesn't really work that way. But why not? That's just by the way. Talking about Jesus and the people who have been using his name to make money, pastorpreneurs, and those who have been using the pulpit as well to cause trouble. Fubara sent a message. You see, this is irony of it, right? Fubara went to a church and then he complained that the church should stop allowing politicians to use the church to attack their opposition. And he is actually doing the same, in my own opinion. Here, listen to this.
To all the religious body in this state, please, your pulpits should be a place to talk about the progress, talk about the unification of the people of River State. It shouldn't be a point of an opportunity for people to as a passion, to abuse people, to say all sorts of things. I'm more worrisome in the house of God. Please, I want to beg you, you need to stop it, including myself. If I start shooting out of order, take away if I drag the bike from me. I thank every one of you again for your prayers, and I wish everyone a successful 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. Thank you, and may God bless you all.
I mean, I like that. He said, including me. Drag the microphone from, who go drag microphone from Wike or Fubara? Let's be honest. Who is going to lead the charge? That is wait to be seen, right? Yeah, we probably will see something like that this year. I'm just saying. So in another one, there is this new minister of humanitarian disaster, poverty, what do you call it? Poverty minister. No, I think I have a name for them. Say it's humanitarian disaster and poverty elaboration, something like that, Sha. Because their job is actually not to remove poverty. Trust me. It is to manage it. And that's what the politicians in Nigeria have been doing. Their job is not to end poverty in Nigeria. Their job is to manage it. And the only success they have is that there are more people that have now fallen into poverty. That is their achievement. If you want to know those who claim to be, lifting people out of poverty, go and check it. Now, them, they get lifted out of poverty. Starting from Shadia, Bokwari's former girlfriend, in whose name they opened this new business called Ministry of Poverty and Humanitarian Disaster. She is now a multi-billionaire. From person where they sell kunu and tuwo Tuwo Shinkafa. She is a multi-billionaire today. A woman that shared over 600 billion naira in just 3 weeks without using any data, without using any bank. And yes, she shared over 4 trillion naira in 4 years. That is Shadia. We have no idea those who collected the money, but she is now above poverty. She is so rich that a court has ruled that she must return 960 billion naira. The money they felt like she looted. 960 naira has not been returned. So whenever they tell you that they are lifting people out of poverty, no, they are lifting themselves, their family members, their friends, concubines out of poverty. That's what they are doing, because they automatically ended up being richer than they were before they were given that appointment. So here is another clown who has been dropping numbers, as they always do. The last time it was Wale Idun that said he shared 625 billion naira by giving 25,000 naira each to 25 million households. So when we multiply that, it was 625 billion naira. And he said the money was shared through the banks, but there is no single bank name given. There is no record that they shared any money. Somebody said they shared it among themselves. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Lifting people out of poverty is just the smoke screen. Now themselves, then they lift out of poverty themselves. Remember the sacked minister, Omobeta, Beta Edu. He shared 7.8 billion naira. The money the money was given to consultants that would help the ministry to put together the names of the poor people, okay, so that the government can now give them money. 7.8 billion naira. The current Minister of Interior, his own company, collected over 700 million naira. And he claimed that his own wife is the one in charge of the company. And he can't stop his wife, who is managing the company, from collecting government contracts. 724 million naira was paid to Olubunmi Ojo's company to help them put together the names of the poor people in Ekiti, Ondo, as well as Ogun. They didn't put any names together before they sacked Omobeta. Like you paid consultants. The poor people, where they won't give money to go. They never see. In some places, Omobeta went to Morocco to share noodles, pack of Indomie. She took pictures of that, posted it on social media that she was working. Meanwhile, 7.8 billion naira was already shared to consultants, her fellow APC, Egbekegbe friends, and all of them. They couldn't save her. But this one has come again, like Wale Idun. And according to this one, right, their plan is to give 15 million families 75,000 naira. The last time this mofo I'm about to play to you right now said Tinubu's regime is to give 25 million families 25,000 naira each. Again, like Wale Idun said, this was just last month, though, December 2024, that they wanted to give. Say, okay, is that the money you're going to be giving to them every month? He said, no, just once, 25,000 naira. So you mean once for the rest of the year? Yes, 25,000 naira for family of 4 or 5. That's how they are eliminating poverty, you know. So this time around, they're saying that no, it's not 25 million households, it's 15 million. They want to give them 75,000 naira each. 75,000 naira is 47 or $46, Sabi? 47 or $46. Yeah, $46. Imagine government that is lifting people out of poverty will give you $46 once in a year. And they believe it is Tinubu's policy to lift these 70 million people out. Man, you can say it's a joke, but you need to see the seriousness on his face. Take a look.
The president to reduce the number of people who are poor, multidimensionally poor in Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Okwe. I think, let me just thank you for this opportunity of bringing me to Arise. And this morning, one of you was saying that you are arising, and I'm sure today we are celebrating the military, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, and let me use the opportunity to also celebrate the Armed Forces for the services they've provided for Nigeria and protecting all of us and giving us even the opportunity to be here today. Even not because of them, I'm sure that this program may not even hold because of insecurity. So, but let me just start this way, that the figures are actually staggering. And these are the reasons why we're having, especially the malnutrition you raised the issue about. First is the issue of climate change. This year we had a lot of communities that were destroyed by flooding, from Borno to Bauchi to Adamawa, to the northwest, from Kano into Zamfara, and so many states, including Jigawa, that were affected by flooding. And the same way from the river basin of the River Niger and River Benue, and the flooding along those banks right down into Bayelsa State. So a lot of farmlands were destroyed by flooding. So it's estimated that a lot of people that were affected by this, this flooding and climate change don't have their farms insured. And because they don't have insurance scheme, they are going to be deeply affected by poverty and malnutrition. We also have those communities that, because of poor rainfall, especially in the far north, the effect of desertification is affecting them. So the crops may not do well because of the issue of climate change. And the government has seen that as a primary issue that we need to address. And then we have those people that have been affected by insurgency in some communities. And we're improving in terms of more communities being recovered, and more spaces that some years ago we cannot farm in them. Last year we did the geo-mapping and the spatial distribution of farming communities. In the north especially, we've improved in terms of the number of communities that have been recovered and number of farmlands that people can penetrate and they can farm now. But Professor, we have also the communities that are still affected, and then we have the issue of these two that we need to take care of.
Professor,
but these are the problems.
Professor, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. What I would really like to hear this morning are numbers. So the number of people who have been, because if you mention all these things, but it doesn't trickle down to people feeling the impact of these interventions, then there will just be reports. There will be reports that we can't do anything with. How many lives have been impacted? How many people, communities? It would be great to really whittle down to the numbers this morning.
Okay, let me come this way. First, last year between October and December, and October and November, we were able to pay 5 million people the first tranche of the conditional cash transfer across the country. And then we paid the second tranche 1.4 million, and the third tranche 1.4 million households. Now, the reason why the number of people the household reduced is because the president has directed, based on CBN new regulation, that before any payment is made to an individual or a household, they must have at least a digital identity so that we can trace them, and that is the NIN number. And so we are doing the data capture, but for now, the poorest of the poor that we have on our database, only 1.4 million of them have digital identity. That's we can trace them using NIN number. So already we're working with NIMSI, and we're deploying already. We're doing training. NIMSI has brought in more devices for us under a program with the World Bank for us to assist us to do data capturing of people that don't have NIN numbers. And already we're training in some states like Rivers, like Kwara, like Abuja here, also in Nasarawa and some few states, even Kano. So we're deploying to those states as the first round, and by end of this January, we want to deploy across all 36 states to ensure that we start harvesting the need number of up to 18.1 million Nigerian households that we need to capture as fast as possible, so that we can deploy, so we can make payment for them. But that's now for conditional cash transfer. And we're working, the target of the president is that we should target 15 million households. And the average household is about 4 to 5. So we're discussing here roughly in the neighborhood of about 70 million households I want to target with 75,000 naira per person this year. So if we're able to get that 50 million people that the president asked us to target, and we're paying each of them 75,000, that will help them in several ways, because we're going to give them financial literacy, and that will help them to either start small businesses or go into agriculture. Will help them to buy farm inputs and help to improve and expand their farms. It will help them to expand their businesses. It will support them in no small measure at that level, so that we can see improvement in production in the country across the poorest of the poor households. So that's one step that we're taking.
You see how many plans they have for 75,000 naira? You would think it is like 75 million naira. Okay, I can take them in parts, because that's what I do. Wale Edun said they have the bank details of 25 million Nigerians after the removal of Omobeta. So now this one is telling us that they have only registered 1.4 million. Meanwhile, this same guy said they've been able to pay 5 million Nigerians last year. In the same breath, though, that same sentence, they said 1.4 million have been registered, right? But they have been able to pay 5 million last year, 1.7 million this year, this January. That's what I said. And their plan is that Steve Numbu told them to target 15 million. So where did Wale Edun, where did he get his own 25 million people they gave 25,000 naira to? Now, back to what he said they want to give to each household. 75,000 naira. 75,000 naira. He said they will give them financial literacy. They will help them to buy farm inputs, teach them how to be farmers and blah, 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 blah. With the same 75,000 naira. Yeah, did you notice that as well? Like, it started stammering when she said, give us number. We would rather have numbers. Give us numbers so that we can know how many people this is going to impact. Because he has to manufacture the number from Ed. Everything he's saying is a lie. And you know the saddest part is that by the end of this year, this person is going to roll out the same data and say they have actually paid 15 million people. Or if he wants to be smart or clever by half, he will say, oh, we targeted 15 million households, but we have been able to pay 12 million. So we intend to cover another million in 2026. But if you watch him closer, if you watch him closer, for those who know him from, I think he's from Taraba, Benue, I don't know. He will start building himself a massive country home. People around him, his family members will become very rich overnight soon. And the people they were supposed to give the money to would have become even more poorer. And you and I will be asking, now who you gave the money to? Who collected the money? All this trillion you are mentioning, who did you give the money to? the same way you are asking Shadia, who did you give the money to? Who and who collected this money from you? Abi, is it not the same Pastor Ruga, Ikene Shatabandu, Agbowori Baba Oja, the special advisor to Bokwari on burial arrangements, condolences visit, as well as trader money? Pastor Ruga of Ikene that said 10,000 naira was enough for people to start business in Nigeria. Remember, we are giving people 10,000 naira. If they pay that back, we'll give them 30,000. If they pay that back, we'll give them 50,000. Say, what if 10,000 go start? They say, well, 10,000 naira can start a pure water business. I bet you back, Pastor Ruga was so proud. Professor Ruga, he was so proud that they were giving people, lifting them out of poverty by giving them 10,000 naira. I bet you back, have you forgotten? Chai, man. People don't suffer for that place. And sometimes they don't deserve our pity too. They deserve everything coming their way. You know that? Yeah, the same people that you and I feel like they are taking advantage of. They are worse than these people as well. It is like dog eats dog, kind of. And it seems that it's only you and I that feel so concerned. Why are you treating them like this? Why are you treating people like this? You people are so selfish. But in reality, the people love their oppressors differently. They adore them. They cherish them. That is the reason why these guys have to last this long. They will hate you if you are not a thief. In Nigeria, you are expected to be a very, very good thief. They will only share crumbs to them. They will hate you more if you ended up being somebody who is not a thief. Because they won't believe you. They won't. Why do you think some of them actually hate Obi? Like, how dare he bragging? Is that a bragging thing? That is not a thing. Are you sure? What about this? What about investing the state money in his family business? Because they want you to be thief. It's a Nigerian thing. So you think you are special? What makes you think you are special? Because is it because I didn't steal money? What do you mean you didn't steal money? Is it because who knows that? Do you think you are special? What do you mean that you didn't steal money? Albany, you are all the same. All of you are the same. Stop saying that you are not a thief. We know you are a thief. What about your family? What about your this? What about your that? It is a place that you are expected to be a thief. And they will hate you more if you think you can brag with, I'm not a thief. I'm not collecting any pension as a former governor. So, who stop you from collecting it? Benny, my friend, I better go away, Joe. And then they embrace the real thieves. To them, you are expected to be a thief. Once you get a political appointment, you automatically hand the front row in your church because they will need money from you, millions of it, to fund the church project, House of God. So you can't tell them that my salary cannot fund that, or I don't have money. It's impossible. What do you mean you don't have money? Take it from the government now. Say, no, I don't want to touch government money. They will hate you for it. You're expected to become the biggest donor in your mosque. They know your salary can't pay millions of naira towards the mosque projects. But you're a government official. Come on. Take it from government now. So Nigeria is not a real place. And the hypocrisy also stinks. It stinks so much that people just, like we do say, right? People complain if they are not benefiting from it. No, not many Nigerians actually hate corruption. They just don't like it if they are not benefiting from it. Not many Nigerians hate oppression. They just don't like it if they're not the ones actually oppressing people. To the point that some of us are always hoping and praying that we'll get to a position that we can oppress. If I make that streets, what did they do me for this my street? If I make them, I go show them. You go see. So what you go do? Don't worry. May God answer my prayer first. You go see. I go show them for this area. I go show them, say I don't arrive. It's a Nigerian thing. You know? The hypocrisy stinks. Therefore, when they say they want to lift people out of poverty, pay attention to them very well. They're actually telling you that they will lift themselves, their families, their friends out of poverty, because they are always the ones that are always like a better off after serving in a public office. He will be throwing figures, throwing numbers like, but they are not real. They are fake. As some of the accents that some of them put up once they begin to steal money. So you're expected to steal. Don't give them an excuse that they won't believe you. Nobody will believe you. So are you saying that you as a minister now, you have never stolen in your life? Benny, I don't believe. Are you saying that as a governor, you have never say no, I've never stolen any money? Benny, I don't believe you. What do you mean you have never stolen? Benny, to stop. Do you think I'm a kid? Say, so does that mean that if you become a governor, you will steal? Tell him, before you want me? Did I tell you that I come to Lagos to count bridge? I didn't come to Lagos to come and count bridge now. It is a Nigerian thing. It's a very tough one, isn't it? I know. Well, here is one shocker that I got this evening. I don't even know if this is comedy or something, but I feel sorry for this guy. You know, it is early in the year. A lot of people are already having their own regrets. Some are even asking that let's restart the year again. And it's just, it is just 15 days in January. So this guy shared this clip and said his wife sent him a divorce. Quite cracking. Let's use this as a mini break.
This is a letter of divorce from the lawyer of my wife. To God who made me. I'm not a wife beater. Me and her. It's not as if we've been having quarrel before. What happened is is Nepal that go and put us in Bande, Lenujometai. I now turn to Okoune Konra. When they on this at home, I shout, Ekpano, the 7,000 we used to use, we are using it for 3.5 days. So, I now do 7,000 that day. So as I do 7,000, me I now go out. She now say pe oyemu that amatan lawa. She now go on ita ninule that otutu mo atawon omo. The 7,000 that I do that day, that I will come back in the afternoon. The 7,000 you have finished. I now say pe wo mo obìnrin so fe rán mi lọ sílùú yìí ni abo fe sọ mi di da bo se da. I now say pe she should go to her parent house to go and learn management like the minister of power. But that Labu tell all of us to be learning management. Baba Bola Ahmed Tinubu say we should know how to manage. And I'll send her to her parent house that go and learn management. Only for me to now see this letter that she's filing for divorce. And I'll say, it's not me that caused all this bande wahala. That before this government will finish now, that is as if this bande is equivalent to daliru something, because almost everybody is shouting now, because if you on anything now, because in bande now you will use 1,000 to do 4 units. Now see me now, I have received my own divorce letter. I just say pé she should go to their house to go and learn management, like federal government tell us, only for her to say òun ò ṣe mọ́. Now, if my own can happen like this, I just pity other men, because me, I don't know how many ilé tó máa ti dàrú lórí ọ̀rọ̀ bande that is NEPA, BPACN are putting us. They should cuckoo scatter our marriage. Tell them they want to scatter our marriage. I actually want to, because I did not used to have problem with my wife. It is ọ̀rọ̀ NEPA ló ti dá this issue of divorce letter or no divorce ilẹ̀, and it's not as if I divorce her. I just say go and learn nílé yín díẹ̀ kó dẹ̀ padà wá. Now she say òun ò ṣe mọ́.
So I heard that he's a comic content creator and all that, but there is a message in his video. In reality, the situation in Nigeria has scattered so many homes. And like seriously, where men have now become complete sociopath, they call them, like they are now like more angrier when it comes to the billings and all that. Not only that, the hardship in that contraption has scattered families, marriages. That sometimes when you see married women in what they are engaging in, something we used to call the extramarital affairs, they don't call that anymore. It's like a survivor of the fittest right now. If you go to Lagos Island, I was on the phone to a friend who was telling me about housewives. Housewives opening their, it was a friend of, it was the wife of his own friend. And he was on the phone to his friend, and the wife was there, and then put the wife on the phone, and the conversation about the hardship, how things are really, really tough for them and all that. Housewife was kind of like opening her stomach and say, I have not eaten since morning. Like you could say that to me without having to take off your clothes, just to show that I have not eaten this morning. Housewives. And there is worse. Imagine your own wife going out with men, not even another man, with men, coming back the following morning. And you actually know what happened or what's going on, but you have become so economically disadvantaged that you are more or less so useless. And this is true life story, true life experience of so many people right now in that contraption. Not to talk of those, out of the fear of what this Nigeria is turning into, decided to japa. Some of them japa, husband and wife and children. And today, the husband has already jackpada. Marriage scattered. Never to come together again. No thanks to the situation of Nigeria. It's like running from fire, from a frying pan. And you enter fire, a furnace. And this is what the situation in that contraption is actually creating and causing right now. And I can bet it, 1 or 2 or 3 of my viewers have their own personal stories to share too. Something they probably would never want to share publicly. What the situation has caused them in their marriages, in their homes. And it never used to be like that. Like that guy said, it's never really, it never used to be like this. But slowly and surely, the economic power of some men, some household has shrinked so much that they have lost respect from their own wives. True story. And what about parents who now relies on the waywardness of their own children to survive. You know, they used to tell us them that we must be very careful about the companies that we join. You get what I mean? Be careful of the company that you keep. You must be protective of your name, your family name, and all that. So back in the days when Yahoo started, they call it Yahoo, internet scam, when it started, you can't be so proud to come outside and say you are a Yahoo boy. You're always very like, now people could call, they say, Naron's, you know, na Yahoo guy. You will even be fighting people. They call you a Yahoo boy. Say, are you mad? Why? I'm a business person. You have to find something doing as a cover, because you don't want people to see you as a scammer. You know, that's why you see the early Yahoo boys, they always had this business as cover. They will tell you that I'm a businessman. Oh, I just started a business. I've opened a recharge card shop. I've opened a boutique. You opened an eatery. You have to open a business so that you are not proud to come outside and say you are an internet fraudster. Today is a badge of honor. Yeah, it's a badge of honor. They put it on like proud. I'm a proud Yahoo boy. Similarly, when you see those who are doing the OSAB, what's 304? Is that what it's called? You know what they say, 304? You know what that means? Turn it back is hoe. And I'm not talking about the hoe that we used to cultivate land. Hoe. Ashewu. Today is something of pride. Eh? Your mama, your papa, they will be aware that their own daughter. Because, you know, children are now breadwinners in so many homes. So morality, integrity, they are like expensive words right now. Integrity. You do poor. Yeah? You're talking about having integrity, morality. Who they deceive you is what they will ask you now. The poor man who says he has I'm very intelligent, I can advise you. But advise yourself. Do whatever you can to actually be rich first. Baba, I have seen things. And sometimes I just feel like, is it that we have become so old or what? And it is still going to get worse. This is not a situation where you say things will get worse before they get better. Because there must be some effort in getting, towards making things better before you can say, oh, yeah, it's going to get worse now, then it's going to get better later. There must be some effort. But if you look out there, there is no effort anywhere. You know? Scary, yeah? When I started Mayegun's Diary Political, I think I've said this many times, okay? It was like a protest platform. When I came to the UK, over 12 years ago, there's this kind of like imagined UK in my head. Yeah, you're becoming naive and all that, but listen, I've never been to anywhere outside the contraption for the first 28 years of my life. Never been to anywhere. I had the opportunity of living Nigeria many times, but not until it was, don't choke me. And I almost have lost all chances that I now took a last one. And then that one was like, oh yeah, it worked. You know? So I had this kind of imagined UK until I came here and it became so ordinary. It was just ordinary. It's just like any place. Place where everybody has to, like, you just have to walk to earn your own meal ticket, kind of. Like Nigeria, people work hard. The most hardworking people I have seen in my lives are the people living in Nigeria, not those who are living off people. Hardworking. You know, if you see mechanics, if you see bricklayers, if you see laborers at different sites, if you see the well diggers, these are the most hardworking people you can come across, and they are also the least paid people who are living in more destroyed, inflationary economy, working so hard but getting paid peanuts. But here, you just do what ordinary people do, and then you can actually really live like a human being. Became so angry. Like, why did we not have this or that or this in Nigeria? Every day I was always angry. So that was when I started Mayegun's diary. Mayegun, the one that wants an orderly, organized world. Mayegun. He who wants an organized, orderly world. I was always angry. I remember people would say, why is this guy always angry? Why is he always angry in his broadcast? I was always there, angry, cursing them. Because there's so many of us that could do so well if we had reasonable people in charge of that contraption, if they didn't turn it to an LO. You know? But now, 12 years after, I can boldly say it was the best decision of my life to leave the contraption. There are many people that will say the same. It was the best decision of their lives. Because when you look back and you see those who stayed back, who have done everything, today, they are more or less like, they are seen as failures. They are seen as lazy. People who got education, those who sacrificed, burned the candle, night candle, just to get education, only to end up as paupers. And then illiterates, criminals, they are living large. Lives have been destroyed, young ones. And there is no end in sight, no end in sight. It should break your heart. Nobody, all of us get hearts to actually reason. So to those of you who are still there, I call you the MVP, the most valuable people ever. Because Nigeria is meant to break you. And there are many broken men and women in that place. Those who have lost their respect, they have lost their track, and they will never get it back. You see, again, this is why I want to see the contraption broken. Before Nigeria break you, you better join us in breaking it up to save lives. You better. Thank you so much, Festus. Thank you. Well, I just kind of like shared that. What have I seen? Azan. Sazan Hosseini. Baba, thank you so much. You all know what I'm talking about. Situation has become so broken that the things that all of us will be ashamed to be identified as is now what people actually brags about. They have no shame about it. Young children in their teens, in their early 20s, they are participating in so many immoral things. just because they wanted to buy a phone. They wanted to own phones, or they wanted to feel like they exist. These are children that have become broken at the early age. No thanks to a system that allows that. Sometimes it will make you sound like you are becoming old. But we are not old. We are just worried and afraid for what the future holds. You should too. Because in the same process, you see the young people that are involved in some horrible crimes too. Crimes that ordinarily, where you won't get delivered. To be a kidnapper, armed robber at 19, 20, 22. How? Because you're probably still pretty much busy trying to figure out your life. You are still there in school or somewhere, learning apprentice or something. But today, the economic pressure has been it has fallen on the younger people today, that they feel so pressured enough that they see themselves as failures. Imagine a 22-year-old looking at himself, no real education, no real skill, nothing, and he sees himself as a failure. How old are you? I'm 22. You are 22, for goodness sake. How can you see yourself as a failure? I've not bought a car. I need to build a house. At 22, you have no real education. You have no real skill. Nothing. But you already see yourself as a failure. What kind of a country, what kind of a society is that? A doomed one. Think about that. Even though in that same space, you will see people in their 40s. They have no plan of actually like starting a family, because they were among those who believed that getting education is one easy way out of poverty. So let's go to school. Let's blow all our money. Today, the entire system no longer care about them. As those without that same education, those who are pretty much, who chooses the supposed ruinous path in the past, are now the ones running the affairs of things. It is endless. It's unbelievable. Let me use this again. Let's go to Lagos, where Wahabi Wole was at what's this place called again? Ijesha or something. Sele, right? Doing what he knows how to do best. Trying to clean up the mega shitty. Let's start with this one.
Hello? Yeah. You are actually disturbing me because I'm in operation and I don't pick phone when I'm in operation. Wait for me now. When we come in, you see me now.
That's the mega shitty. There is more. There's always more. I'm going to keep that for the next time because my time is now fast spent. Okay. And I just want to leave us with something like, if we have a chance of turning the wheel, I advise us that we shouldn't turn it back to where we are coming from. It should be a new direction entirely. And when you are turning the wheel as well, make sure you are the one by the wheels, okay? So that those who drove us into this state of nothingness are never involved in any direction or any path that we choose or we intend or hope to choose. A lot is wrong with that place, a lot. But solution has to come from the admittance. We must first admit that this is not right. This is not a place. This is not how to live. And we are all against the force that think this is actually how we should live. There's some force that believes that this is the way. And we are standing in their way if we think this is not the way. So those of us who already have children, those of us who already have children, there's something to be worried about. It is the future that those children are going to feature in. That future is bleak. You may be trying to build one for yours. When you look at those whose future they have already stolen, mortgaged, ruined and destroyed, then that automatically make your own children that future that you think you already are building for your own children. That puts it in a serious jeopardy, risk. Like I said, when I started Mayegun's Diary Politico and dedicated most of my time following the activities of the ruiners of Nigeria and the consequences of their actions, I feared for my own future. I feared for the future of my own children. The tough environment to live in a place where you were never meant to actually live or to visit. But we had to cope, we had to learn how to live in this harsh weather, harsh conditions and everything associated with living in these countries, acclimatizing and the rest of that. But when you now remember that there are millions whose future has been totally mortgaged, like stolen, they're never going to get it back. But they will actually need to survive too. You see, those children, they fail to give a proper quality education. They are the danger, the threat to your own children that you have paid for their own education. You've invested, a lot of us have invested in that, we call it our future, which are our own children, right? Like our own parent did for us. Now, the difference is that our parents were not rich, but there's something they did invest in, and that was us. You see, this generation of children, or sorry, this generation of parents, they are becoming so poor and so detached that many children are on their own. They would have to figure it out themselves. I belong to a generation where, indeed, it took a village or a community to raise a child. Today, the parent of today, you are on your own. And those children from this parent of today, they would have to figure it out themselves. whatever life throws at them, they would have to figure it out. And that's why you're going to see more of them in jail, in different crimes, in different things that ordinarily would kind of like, shake you as a human being. Nobody to guide them, nobody to guard them. And that then comes to that part where I was like 12 years ago, when I started the Mayegun's Diary Political, I felt like there will be a time that things will get so bad, so worse. You see, those children, they fail to train, then they will grow up, they will become adults. They will have no other means or other ways of surviving than criminality. Because crime will not be crime to them then. It will be called Ozu. It will become survivor. So it will be called survivor. And today, that's what you're having. 12 years ago, I saw that. What you call crime 12 years ago is what they now called Ozu in Nigeria. But everybody is hustling, we're all hustling. They hack your phone, steal your money from your bank, and then, do a lot of things that usually they were at the lowest scales years ago. They call it hustling. They organize to kidnap people and demand for money that they would never be able to work for in their entire life at once. And if you don't give them the money, then they kill you. They work with those who are ready to do organ harvesting, just to organ other people's, to harvest other people's organs for money. So I was so feared for the future. I was scared for the future. 12 years ago, I thought if I started then, I could possibly get a lot of people on my side that will also echo the same thing, because I felt back then that a day will come where I will be driving in my nice car. And that untrained, criminally minded young man in this contraption will see me as a potential client, a potential victim that they could extort. And I will become vulnerable, that the system would have become so broken that I will not be protected. And even despite the fact that I have contributed nothing to the failed system that took away everything from this kid, I will still be a victim of that same system. It's happening already. From the north to the south, it's happening. People are being taken, people are being kidnapped, even though they are not politicians or public office, a player or anything. But because they are easy targets. The society has now breeded criminals who don't see what you call crime as crime anymore. They see them as survivor. And therefore, you have to live in that same time with them, or else you are just a fair game. So if that is what I saw 12 years ago, imagine what I am seeing right now in the next 12 years, if things continues like this. Just imagine it. That is why I kind of feel like my platform is my only bargaining chip. So if I ended up being the victims of this failed system, maybe I can just, before they deal with me, and say, see, I did my best to. I did my best to raise awareness, call the attention of everybody who cares to listen, that if we don't break up this contraption now, it will break all of us. And when I say break us, you probably can imagine what it means. Because some of us won't even live to tell the story when Nigeria happens to us. So for the last time, I'm going to say, to save Nigeria, please break it up. Save lives. Please. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you some other time. Good night.
mọ̀ láwọn tó dódòdó.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Máyégún ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ará ìlú.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Lórí Facebook lórí YouTube.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Máyégún já wa sí.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Bó bá ṣe eré àní Máyégún máa wí.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Máyégún dáyàrí politico.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Máyégún.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Àní Máyégún làwa mọ̀ tó dódòdó.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé. Máyégún ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Lórí Facebook.
Máyégún ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Lórí YouTube.
Máyégún ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Ijó ìgbádìyẹ.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Kí gómìnà kówó jẹ.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Ọlọ́pàá tí ń darí bá.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Òpùrọ́ olóṣèlú.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran o.
Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ̀rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ o. Máyégún ó sọ pé wọ́n ò fẹ́ bẹ̀. Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀. Máyégún ó sọ pé wọ́n ò fẹ́ bẹ̀. Oníkan ṣáàtì ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe fáwọn ará ìlú tó gbé wọn débẹ̀ o. Àyè.
Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ̀rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Ìmọ̀ yìí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Ìmọ̀ yìí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Ẹni bá ti lè lẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́rù o, ọmọ bá dèrò kàṣà ìtú wọn síta.
Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ̀rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Tẹnitẹni ọmọ Máyégún ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni mo
fọlọ́run ṣọ́ ẹ̀ bá kìlẹ́bù lóòótọ́ olódodo ìlú ọ̀tá ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni ìwọ ṣá máa ń ṣọ́ra kò sì mọ́ bẹ̀rù bọ́tà ń lè rí bóníṣègùn lé káwọn mọ̀mọ́ fi ṣera wọn ni ó ti dẹrùn tí wọn ò gbọ́dọ̀ sì mọ́ bẹ̀. èèpo ọ̀bọ lọmọ bá dérò tàjẹ́ ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ó ti jọba lórí àbínú ẹni kò sì mọ́ bùyà àìsíwọ́lu ní ẹnìkẹ́ ìgbódì ẹyin lábàrá o ó kó ẹni tó bá dán wò á kàmù máyé ègún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ tún ra kì máyé ègún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ tún ra kì o ẹni bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dèrò òní fi wọ́n níran o.
máyé ègún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ tún ra kì máyé ègún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ tún ra kì ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.